Hi there, it's Sandy, your sister and your friend. Welcome to our YouTube channel. I want to apologize first for not posting something the last couple of weeks. My husband and I first had a visit to see my brothers, and then we've come up to the North Carolina mountains, which you can see through the window behind me. It's been a glorious time that we've had here, and you can see how beautiful it is. Today is September 22nd, 2022, the first day of fall, and we are getting to see some leaves changing colors and also falling, and it's just a wonderful place to be. I wanted to share today a couple of personal experiences that really relate to a lot of the things that I've been sharing, and to just tell you how things really happen in real life according to the spiritual principles um, that I've been talking about for ever since I started the YouTube channel. So these are both personal experiences, and one of them is continuing, is ongoing, and one of them was just a single event. So I'm going to first tell you about the one that's ongoing, and that is I started having pain in a tooth about probably about a month ago, and before we left on our trip, I had actually gone to see two different dentists to see if there was something they could find that was wrong with the tooth that we would be able to address before we left on our trip. And neither dentist could find anything wrong, and yet I was having severe pain in that tooth, especially at night as I lay down to try to go to sleep. The pain would be shooting pain and like stabbing pain, very, very severe. But we left on our trip, and during the drive, it was about an 8-hour drive to where we were going the first night. Um, the pain was intermittent during the day, but was still happening quite regularly, and um, it was quite painful. So I asked for advice, medical advice, and got some about getting on a pain medicine regimen 24 hours a day to do that for a few days. And I did do that. It really was spotty results in terms of it being really significantly addressing the pain. Um, and so that's what I was doing until I stopped thinking about this as a physical pain and started thinking about myself being a spiritual person, conscious awareness, true self, and that's really who I am, and that this pain was manifesting in this body that I'm in, but that I really had control in ways that I had not addressed up to that point in time. So the first thing I did is I asked people who are close to me, that I trust and who I knew would pray for me, who would send spiritual healing energy to me, and who were connected to me at a soul and spirit level, and asked them to intervene for me, to intercede for me, um, and by me taking this pain and making myself vulnerable to, yes, I am experiencing pain. This is happening, and not. I think up until that point, I was kind of pushing it down. It's happening, but I'm not going to really address that it's happening. I'm going to just kind of push through it, be stoic about it, and I'll be able to manage it that way. But what I was keeping it in this dark place. And when I said no, this is a spiritual problem. I need to bring it out into the light, and which I did and shared it with people. Um, Between their prayers and their healing energy, and just again, I think it's really bringing dark things out into the light, exposing it to the light. Things really started happening in a really magnificent way. So instead of me, saying, "Oh, this is terrible and awful," and pushing against it and resisting it, I started just surrendering to it and saying, hey, we're in this world and painful things happen to us. It can be aging, it can be some event that comes out of nowhere, like this tooth pain did. It can be from war. We can be in a war. We can be in a country where we're not treated well from those who are in power. there can be all kinds of ways that we would experience pain. An accident that, again, no one was expecting. So pain happens in this world. That's like an arrow that comes out of nowhere, say, and it shoots into a part of your body or your whole life. Now, the second arrow, which is the suffering associated with the pain, that's something that we actually have some voice in. We get to determine how we're going to respond to this painful event. We get to say, I'm going to choose whether I suffer or I don't suffer as a result of this. And once I became really thinking of myself as who I truly am and not just this physical body that has a painful event happening, and said, no, I am a spiritual person in this physical body, and I get to choose the outcome that I want, not necessarily the outcome, but in the outcome in this moment of how I'm going to relate in this moment to what's happening. And that's what I started to do. And so the combination of people praying and sending healing to me, and me deciding to, hey, I'm going to relax. I'm going to surrender to this. This pain is happening. It is whatever it is. And really even welcoming it in and saying, this is just something that's going on right now in this moment. And that welcoming it and that allowing things to be as they actually are unfolding in front of me. This is actually what's happening, and accepting that as if it's something that I had chosen for me to grow from, to learn from. This acceptance had actually, so what it's done for me is it's actually been alleviating the pain. So by just saying, I'm not going to push against you, I'm not going to have any anxious thoughts about you, I'm not going to resist you. Instead, I'm going to allow what is actually happening. And I'm going to accept it as whatever is happening. That acceptance has actually had the pain diminish. I haven't been taking, the last 24 hours, I haven't had any pain medicine at all. And the pain is reducing. Now, can I tell you why it's reducing or what exactly? I can't. I'm not sure, but I know that my response to this as a spiritual event has had a great difference in terms of how the pain is, how I'm managing it, and how it's actually reducing over time, in addition to the prayers and the energy that was sent to me for healing. So there was something else that was going on as well, that as I started like really looking at this spiritually, I saw that there was something else behind it. There was fear involved. And I really wasn't afraid, okay, there's a tooth, something will happen eventually if it's just a tooth. But I had had an event about 12 years ago where I had a tooth episode on this side that was actually trigeminal neuralgia, which is a neurological thing. I won't go into it, but I had to have microsurgery on this side of the trigeminal nerve in order to alleviate the pain, which was just as severe as what I was going through now. So there was a fear involved. I was taking from my past event and I was projecting it out into the future, the possibility that this is again trigeminal neuralgia on this side of my face, and coming out of the nerve, actually being the reason, the cause for it. So the fact that I was afraid, I was pushing that fear away and saying it's not real. And so therefore, but you know where it was real? It was natural to have some sense of, this could be trigeminal neuralgia again. It could require microsurgery, drilling a hole in my skull and going in to fix this. And it's okay, whatever it ends up being. So I got to the point of saying, I'm going to be okay. It's okay that I don't know what okay is going to look like eventually, But in this moment right here that I'm in, I'm okay, and I'm okay in responding the way that I am. So again, it was bringing this fear up to the surface. I think I mentioned in one of the videos that when we have a negative emotion, or what we think of as a negative emotion, and we welcome it in, we say, I'm going to go as far into you as I'm going to go peel back all the layers, and I'm going to keep looking at this until I can resolve this. So until you just basically, again, all your layers are exposed to the light, and then you just dissolve. So negative emotions really can't stand being exposed to the light, and that's what I did with this fear as well. And again, it's living in this moment, being okay with whatever is unfolding in front of me, and just, well, whatever is, and being fine with that. So I wanted to tell you that that really is working in a very real way in my life, and I want you to know that from my experience, and for you to apply that into your life as well. This is really just, staying in your conscious awareness, where that's where you are one with God, and God has you. He loves you. You are His beloved, and perfect love casts out fear. That is perfect love when you stay in that place in that moment. One other funny thing I wanted to share with you that happened on our way up here. We, in the drive up here, it's up through the mountains, and we had left all the little small towns, and we were headed to the next town, but it was about 34 miles away. And after we left all the small towns, our low gas mileage, our low gas gauge came on, the light came on in the car. And so when we looked at it, it said you have 50 miles before you run out of gas. Well, we hadn't been looking at the gas gauge, unfortunately, because we'd been engaged in conversation. And now all of a sudden we are 34 miles away from the nearest town, and probably not going to hit a gas station before we get to the edge of town or into town. So instead, there was a time in my life, probably decades ago, that I've been like, oh no, what's going to happen? We're going to run out of gas. This is going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. Okay, so there's a video I did about, is life supposed to be fun? And I made the choice to decide that this was going to be a fun event. This was an occasion where there was a play going on. My husband and I were actors in this play. Our car was an actor in the play, and we were going to see what was going to happen. Like, will they make it to the nearest gas station? Will they have to stop at a farm because they've run out of gas? And maybe one of somebody at this in the house is going to save them and get them to the nearest gas station. Like, I don't know. How's this all going to unwrap? How's the next? Who are the players going to be? I'm telling you, it made this drive to the next town so much fun for me. I was engaged and excited and see what's going to happen, and it changed it. My father knew that we needed gas, and however that was going to happen, it was going to unfold exactly the way it was supposed to. So I was just delighted that it was a whole different experience than I usually used to treat things like that. So I invite you to not take life so seriously, to enjoy life, to bring joy into your situations, to relax more, to just see how things unfold, to welcome things in, surrender to what is, whatever it is, and not to say that you won't do things if there's stuff happening that you need to take care of course you will, but just not to push against things and rail against things and worry about things. It just doesn't help us in any way at all. So I just want to share my personal experiences with you. I love you so much. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you subscribing and hitting the like button if this helps you in any way. So God bless you. I love being in God's family with you. Bye-bye.